Geological Survey. We have 3 units of the USGS in the state of Florida. And broadly speaking, there's the water group, the geology group, and the biology group. The water group is based in Tampa, but has a presence throughout the state. The geology group is in St. Petersburg. They deal mainly with coastal geology. And then the biology group is based in Gainesville. They do a lot of work with manatees and sturgeons and the like. Just to give you a little background about the USGS, a few notes here. We like to regard ourselves as the Switzerland of hydrology. In other words, we try to be completely neutral, dispassionate. We try to just present the science. And we can talk to developers, we can talk to environmentalists, and we have no friends, we have no enemies. So we're not advocates of any position, just the science. We're non-regulatory, which makes our life a lot easier because we can just call it like we see it. But others do the difficult work of actually implementing policy. We have national skill sets, and we're a national organization located here in Florida. So when we do a project, we draw upon our skill sets throughout the nation, and we have pretty formidable skill sets around the nation. We try to be extremely transparent. So when we do a study, it's peer reviewed, and then we document that study, and it's available to anybody and everybody at the same time. When we do a groundwater flow model, for instance, the model is publicly available. Anybody can go in and retrieve those model data sets and run the model independently themselves. And the odd thing about our agency, given that we're a federal agency, is that we rely on non-federal dollars for the most part. I think it's like 65%, 35%. So we actually, in the water group in particular, I think Congress configured us that way, so we had to respond to the people, so to speak. We don't do just ad hoc research. We have to look for funding sources, and those tend to be a variety of sources, water management districts, counties, cities, and the like. Most of our work is data collection. I'm actually in the study side of the office, but the data section is the primary purpose of the office. And I just include here a list of the springs where we are doing monitoring. And most of this is driven by a customer, so to speak, that has some interest in this. It might be a water management district or a county or whatever. And we measure discharge, both continuous and discrete discharge, and water quality, not at all springs, but temperature, specific conductance, pH, dissolved oxygen, nitrate. We do have continuous nitrate sensors now, which is a big advance. So instead of just once every couple of months take a sample, we have continuous nitrate data. The data is available if you just Google INWIS Mapper. Those words on the bottom, you can go and you can see the entire nation's data set, and you can zoom in and look at your particular area of interest and pull up the data. I thought this would be of interest. This was a study that was done a while back by Shoemaker in 2003. But I wanted to make a couple of points here. Number one, these are the spring sheds of Silver Springs as determined by 3 different models. And the 4th one is the composite of the 4. So the point I wanted to make here is one model is done by UF, one model is done by St. John's, and one model was done by the USGS. And you can tell there's sharp discrepancies in the spring sheds here. They see the same general pattern, but there are discrepancies. So this goes back to the old Chinese proverb that the man with 2 watches doesn't know what time it is. But I think that's an advantage actually, to have multiple answers. Just like in terms of hurricane tracking, would you like to have just one hurricane tracking? Having that uncertainty and the recognition that modeling is an inexact science, and let's see what the uncertainty is. The other thing here is these spring sheds are based on a 100-year travel time. So Todd Kincaid talked yesterday about how fast things are moving through the system. In some cases, this is here you can see 100 years, and it's not that far away. So one of the critical things here is that there's an assumption here of what the porosity of the aquifer is. And we really don't, that's the nub of the question. We don't really know what that is. When we calibrate a flow model, we calibrate on the water levels and the volumetric flows. We don't calibrate on the travel times. We usually don't have information like Todd showed yesterday about travel times. That would be very informative to fine-tune these models. Finally, denitrification. There actually is a natural process that can reduce nitrate levels in the aquifer. It converts nitrate to nitric gas, which is harmless. Most of the atmosphere is nitric gas. It would be interesting, we've done it in the USGS in a few pilot studies, to determine denitrification rates, because that might guide restoration somewhat.
You're over, but keep going.
Okay. Okay, just a couple minutes. Finally, conduit flow process. We developed that in the USGS. The aquifer is usually modeled as a sponge, but as we know, it's actually a fractured system. There are ways to do a better model. Jason Polino talked about this yesterday. This is one of our big ongoing studies that I think will be very informative, a regional model of the Florida aquifer and regional data collection. And I think the big advantage it has is it's seamless. Most of the water management district models, and not to be critical of them at all, but they are small scale because they're interested in a certain sub-area. So there are issues associated with boundary conditions and having to assume certain boundary conditions when you have a model that doesn't go to the edges of the aquifer. So we're just providing this as a base that they can implant their local model within. Just tell me when to stop, Jim.
You're at 7 minutes and 18 seconds.
You're doing water quality mapping throughout the state, water use. Bob mentioned Rich Morello's work. This is something that we've been doing for years, monitoring water use, compiling water use every 5 years. You can see the trends there in the reduction in recent years. I think this basic equation here tells a story. Rainfall is about 52 inches per year in the state. Water use is about 2 inches. So you might naively say, well, it doesn't matter. 52 inches of rainfall, 2 inches of water use, who cares? But when you subtract off the evapotranspiration, that's a major loss of about 40 inches. Then you subtract off the runoff that goes down our streams. You're left with about maybe 5 inches, maybe less. Well, 2 inches relative to 5 inches is a big deal. So water use is a big deal when you look at that residual. And I think I should stop here.